So what is that? The first things is about the term cryptograms. Cryptograms is the term that commonly we use for grouping the Pern and MOS. Why we group them together as cryptogram? Because together their reproduction ways is hidden, or their how they do reproduction is hidden. So crypto is mean hidden, gams mean reproduction. So because the reproduction is hidden together, they group as cryptogam. It's like that. And then the second things, it's about terminology. But pteridopits come from the word pterons, and pterons mean wings or feather-like. So why is that? Because long time ago, Greek people thinks that the appearance of this plant seems like a wing or seems like a feather or bulu, you know. So like bulu ayam, bulu burung seems like that. That's why the word become pteron, ptero, and then pita is plant, of course. That's why together they become tumbuhan yang mirip bulu, the appearance. It's like that. That's the first terminology. And then second one, this is also has been explained uh, by your friends that the most dominant is sporophyte. So the fern that we see mostly is the pest of sporophyte because the gametophyte is too small, very small, and we cannot see it directly. Even when we try to find it, it's so difficult to find the gametophyte of the fern. And when you find it, it's like algae, very little, and the name is Protalium or Protalus. That's the name of the gametophyte. But again, to see the difference is that bryophytes that we commonly see, the dominant is gametophytes, while the fern that the dominant is sporophytes. Okay, so this one has been explained by your friends. Together, they need water to do reproduction. So the sperm, because the sperm is motile, in this case, without the water, they cannot do reproduction very well. That's why they need to live also in the humid environments or having a lot of water environment. That because water is so essential for them to do reproduction. And then this is the things that has not been covered by your friends. So it's about anatomy because fern has been grouped as vascular plant means they have xylem and phloem, right? So actually, in some of the way the arrangement of vascular bundle is so different between fern, another fern to another ferns. I mean, for example, you can see in this case, the xylem and the phloem it's together side by side. But in another type, for example, this one, this has two layer of phloem. So pit in the center, and then it has phloem, and then it has xylem, and then in the outside they have xylem again. So in terms of vascular bundle, they have it, but the arrangement or the position is different from one fern to another fern, from one species to another species. But in general, they have the same basic component. So the outside, it will be about epidermis, and then under the epidermis, you will have cortex, and then inside the cortex, you will have vascular bundle, which is xylem and phloem, and then in the center, most likely you will find fifth. Another type you can see like this, some fern has vascular bundle seems like monocot. So the vascular bundle is scattered. Some has structure like this, which is most likely seems like dicot. So in terms of vascular bundle distribution, they are very different. Not like higher plant, which is almost everything similar, but in terms of fern, they are so different. Even though they have still what they have phloem and xylem, or they have vascular border. This is the stem anatomy. It has been explained, and let's see the leaf. The leaf is very similar with common plant. So it has structure like this. In the top, there will be epidermis, and then you will have palisade and pain or vascular bundle, and spongy mesophyll around here. So again, in terms of structure, it's very similar. The leaf structure is very similar with higher plant or C3 plant, tumbuhan C3. Strukturnya mirip banget. That's the leaf anatomy. And then the next thing is about the characteristic of fern. So next time, for example, if you are become teacher someday in the future, if you want to identify fern and then you want to introduce it to your students, so you can introduce it by identifying the young leaf or daun muda. Because young leaf, mostly every fern has unique structure that we call as pedal head. What is that? Pedal head is structured like this, so it curved. So every young leaf of the fern, it's always curved like that. So that will be a easy way to identify. If you find a fern, just see the young leaf. And then next thing we're gonna talk about type of leaves. Actually, they have two type of leaves. The first one is trophophyll, and then the second one is sporophyll. Sporophyll is the leaf that has spora, and then so that spore or spora is together in a collection of sporangia, and that sporangia together become what we call a sori. And which one is sori? Sori is this one. So this one is the collection of sori or sorus in another name. But some have another structure, which is the leaf become together and it's become a structure what we call a strobilus. So how to easily recognize strobilus? You can see it from strobilus of a pine tree, strobilusnya pohon pinus. Nah, it seems like that some of the fern has strobilus. So strobilus is the collection of spore together like this in one structure. In another leaf, they become a sporophyll, but in some other fern, it's become strobilus. Okay, so now let's see closely how it look like. This is the three type of, not actually three type, but actually the first and the second picture, it's actually about leaf type. So trophophyll, this is photosynthetic leaf, means this leaf is specialized for photosynthetic only, not for reproduction. But the second picture, this is what we call a sporophyll. In the back of this kind of leaf, in many cases, they have similar structure. They are very similar. But in the back, you will find something like this. And all the things like this, we call it a sorus. So together, they have sorus. And inside the sorus, there are so many sporangium. And inside the sporangium, there are so many spore. This is the reproduction leaves or sporophyll. In some other structure, they have what we call as strobilus. The example of this plant, like the most popular now, maybe you have it in the front of your house. It's like paku ekor kuda, and when they do reproduction, they will have a strobilus like this. So the strobilus will have a spore around here. Okay, that is strobilus. So again, in terms of identifying the leaves, this trophophyll is photosynthetic leaf, but not for reproduction. Sporophyll in the other hand, they can do both. So they can do reproduction, they can do also photosynthesis. In some species, they don't use sleep, but they use strobilus for their reproduction. Okay, and then no. This is for the type. I believe your friend also has explained it very well in some of the diversity. So I just want to tell you a little bit about this. So this is the phylum of Lycopitae. So Lycopitae, mostly we find Strobilus in this group. And then Pteridophytae, or Pteridophytes in English, mostly what we find is no, they have a sporophyll. So means mostly they have the lip like this, and in the back of the lip you will find many sorus. So that is the group of Pteridophytes. And then, oh, this one is still Pteridophyte. This is only example. So next time, when you find something plant like this, don't say it as, yeah, some people say it's pakis, but actually, what should we say? It's paku. Pakis is something else. You know, pakis is, but actually, it's different on place to place. But in general, in Indonesia, we call it as paku. Okay, and then this is Equisetum. Maybe you have it in the front of your house. Psilotum, this is very rare and very primitive, so I believe we cannot find it here. And then, yeah, that's the diversity of appearance. I mean, why I show you this one, so next time if you see this type of plant in your environments, especially when you are become mother or become father, and then your children ask you, so you should say it, that this type of plant is fern or paku, so you can identify it easily from with another higher plant, like for example with gymnosperm, with angiosperm, or yeah, something like that lah. So this is my addition for you for now. So for next week, you can prepare for your quiz about bryophyte. Sorry, about Pteridophytes. Okay, so from my additional information, any question?
No, sir.
No? Okay, so last week, Kodir also asked about the benefit of Pteridophytes. There are so many benefits. Mostly we use it for our gardens as tanaman hias. Mostly we use that one. But in some area, we can eat it. If you are ada yang pernah di sini, maybe di daerahnya masak tumis pakis di Lampung ada lah?
Pernah, Sir.
Nenek saya, Sir.
Siapa yang masak? Masak pakis?
Nenek saya, tapi nggak pernah nyobain, Sir.
Ya, berarti harus nyoba. Di pasar tradisional biasanya ada sih pakis. Tapi kita ngomongnya pakis, bukan paku sih untuk di pasar. Katanya
enak sih, Sir, rasanya kayak lodeh.
Iya, enak-enak aja sih, kayak daun-daun biasa.
Kayak daun biasa.
Iya, emang kayak
pasar tuh masalah kayak gitu.
kayak daun-daun biasa. Ya, itu manfaatnya
di pasar atau di toko bangunan.
Toko bangunan.
Okay, so
Apa, Ibeng?
please rejoin
Tanpa
this
kok.
meeting because it's gonna end up soon.
Ih, kesel.
So rejoin again because we are using the pre version, right?
All of us.
Maybe we should buy the pro version so we can have longer.
Less than 1 minute.
Yes, because it's less than 1 minute. So rejoin. We're gonna talk